Well, it's IBC 2018 and we are here at the Blackmagic design stand, and well, there's always amazing news coming out of Blackmagic every time you visit one of these shows. Today is no exception, and to talk to us about it, of course, is Stuart Ashton. Hi, Stuart.
Hi, John. How you doing?
Yeah, very good. Right, it's noisy here, so we'll keep our voices up, but there's a massive update come out for the Ursa Mini Pro. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we've basically cleared the decks for IBC because we wanted to roll out and announce to everybody about Blackmagic RAW. Now, that kind of caught a few people off guard because people weren't really aware of the fact that we were actually building a codec or working towards a codec. But this is something that we've actually been working on for the last 2.5 years. And what we've basically done yesterday is when the show started, we uploaded the new beta version of Blackmagic RAW onto our website for all those existing Ursa Mini Pro 4.6K customers to download and load into their Ursa Mini Pros and get the benefit of what we believe to be a real game changer.
So, you say it's brand new codec, it has the word RAW at the end of it, which obviously means you can do an awful lot with it. Give us some detail of the actual codec itself.
Okay, so just to kind of give you a bit of an explanation about what is actually RAW, because I think that a lot of people hear the terminology RAW and hear the terminology around codecs, but what does that actually mean? Well, there are 8-bit codecs, there are 10-bit codecs, there are 12-bit codecs. Now, RAW is typically 12-bit. The reason for that is that what you're doing with RAW is that you are basically taking the information from the sensor and you're trying to obtain as much information as possible from that sensor. So you're taking all of the lens data, all of the color imagery, everything, all the color science, and you want to try and retain as much of that information as you possibly can. So typically, RAW would be considered as an acquisition codec. The problem is with that is that because it's a 12-bit codec, because it is a codec that contains so much information, that generally means it's actually quite large in size, which means that when you take that into a post-production environment and you want to start editing with it, it becomes quite difficult because you need a lot of GPU power, a lot of CPU power in which to process that happening. So what a lot of people do in that scenario is that they would either optimize that media, which is effectively down resolution it, or they would transcode it into a more familiar editing codec. And there's plenty of those editing codecs out there, and generally they're 10-bit or 8-bit. What then happens is that you edit with it, you take it into the grade stage, and then what would happen is that you may reconform that back to the original RAW files or relink that back to the RAW files to do that grade. Now, when we look at this as a process, what we started to consider is how can we keep that RAW process all the way from lens, all the way through to the point of delivery, so that we can actually edit with RAW files. And the only way that you can do that really is to actually process that in such a way that you minimize the amount of pressure that is on the CPU or on the GPU. So this is how we came up with our our solution. In the process of decoding and working with RAW, there's something called demosaicing. Now what we've actually done is that we've partially demosaicked that RAW file within the camera. So the camera is actually acting like a processor for half of the job. What that means is that when that file then passes into your software application to edit, you've actually done 50% of that work, which now means that you've greatly reduced the size of that file. Now, just to kind of give you some idea, with the Blackmagic RAW file, we're seeing data rates at 3:1 of around about 127 megabits per second. Now, if you look at 12:1, which is the biggest compression rate of that RAW, still 12-bit file, but you're talking about 32 megabits per second. So we're talking minute sizes. Now, if you take a 256 gig CFast card, and if you were actually to record 4.6K at 3:1, you're looking at around about 23 minutes. But if you're looking at 12:1, that's about 92 minutes. So this is a serious amount of data, amount of quality that you're retaining within that file type.
And it is a big deal when you think about it, the fact that people think RAW and they think, okay, I've got to work out how I'm going to handle this as soon as it gets to my system. This codec can be used from the moment you take the card and put it into your machine all the way through your process to delivery.
Yeah, that's the aim. I mean, what we want to do is we want to minimize the amount of transcoding, minimize the optimization of that media, but also at the same time as well, we want to speed up the entire workflow. We want to minimize the storage requirements. So what's happening now is that if you are, say, an Ursa Mini Pro customer now, it means that that card that you bought and you were thinking, okay, I've got to buy another card or another card or another card, or I've got to compromise on the type of codec that I'm recording, all of a sudden now, overnight with this new update, you're now going to get a whole load more data on that CFast card. Now, in that editing process, that means that all those files that you're working with, it means that you're not having to take files off your system because you've got limited amount of storage. You know, you can retain all of that. Now, just in addition to that, one of the things that's also a huge benefit with RAW is that you have the ability to log all of the metadata. So what Blackmagic RAW actually offers is something called a sidecar file. So alongside the actual 12-bit RAW file, there is a .sidecar file. That's a bit like a text file that when you open it up in a text editor, you see all the parameters of the metadata, so your gamma settings, your color sign settings, your ISO settings, your time code. And what you could actually do if you wanted to, is you could actually go in there and manually edit that. You could actually type a new ISO setting in there, and that would affect that Blackmagic RAW file. Now, the benefit of that is that you're never touching that original file. All the adjustments and the amendments that you're making are actually to that sidecar file. So you're always retaining that original quality.
And I mean, I can see a use for that immediately. If you've got somebody who's got the raw footage here and in a remote location, you could do a quick grade or something, tweaks in Resolve, and just send them the sidecar file, and they've effectively got that updated without having to send a raw file over. So you're speeding up things that way as well.
Absolutely, and it's all about flexibility. It's all about being able to, to speed everything up in terms of the process. Now, also, one of the other things that we've done is that we've put the SDK for Blackmagic RAW on our website. So this is a completely license-free RAW codec, which now means that any of these software vendors out here, doesn't matter whether you're on Mac, Linux, or Windows, it supports Metal, it supports CUDA, it supports OpenCL. It means that other software manufacturers can implement the decoding of Blackmagic RAW within their software. And what we feel is that having looked at this and having spent so much time with it, we believe that this could benefit a whole load of companies in this industry. And really this for us is what we, like I said before, we see this as being a bit of a game changer.
It is looking amazing, and very much looking myself forward to trying it out. If people want to get hold of it and they want to find out more about it, where can they find it?
So if you go to the Blackmagic website, which is www.blackmagicdesign.com, there's an Ursa Mini Pro page on there. There's also a page on there for Resolve. There's some information on there also about Blackmagic RAW. You can go and download some RAW files that we've put on there, so people can have a play with it, see it. We've also got a Blackmagic RAW player. So if you're not working with Resolve, but you just want to play back the RAW files, you can actually play those back. And obviously the SDK's on there as well. And if there's any questions that you might have, you can contact Blackmagic Design, and we're more than happy to give you any information on it.
That's great, Stuart. Thank you very much. Well, there you go. Another coup here from Blackmagic Design. Go and get hold of that Blackmagic RAW update for your Ursa Mini Pro as soon as possible, I reckon. In the meantime, don't forget to check out the other video that we've done here at the Blackmagic Design stand at IBC. And for more, well, check out our website, KITPLUS.com.